transition for someone who is thoroughly steeped in Christian subculture to transition into more, mainstream culture. And in saying that, I'm not saying that you embrace mainstream culture. Much of it's depraved and unregenerate. But again, it's at least getting to know the people well enough to know how in the world they think and act so that Jesus can be made real to them. The first thing is that Christians need to learn the art of listening. And instead of showing up with tracts or an agenda, it is first showing up and listening and asking questions like go to a bar, go to a coffee house, go to a record store, go where people are just hanging out. I mean, in every neighborhood, there are places that people go to build community other than the church. They're looking for friendships, meaningful relationships. Some of these places are online, like myspace.com, which seems to be where every junior high kid in America has got a web page and trying to make friends. It doesn't mean you got to love MySpace, but you should log on and go, why do millions of kids give significant parts of their life to this website? Why? It means if everybody in your town hangs out at a certain coffee shop or a certain bakery, to just go there and watch and ask, why are they here? Why are they here and not in our church? What draws them here? What are they hoping to find? What are the longings of their heart? What are their fears? What are their sins? What are their needs? And then actually asking questions. One of the things I love to do, it'll sound scandalous to some, if I'm preaching a certain sermon on certain topics, I'll go to places, let's say there's a sin issue like alcoholism or homosexuality or fornication. I'll go to places where people are gathering around that issue, non-Christian people to do those things, and I'll just ask. I'll sit down at the bar with the alcoholic and say, so what do you think of alcoholism? And I'll just ask him, how did you get to be an alcoholic? You're here, you're drunk. How come you're drunk? What are you doing here? How come you're drinking by yourself? Just because I'm trying to figure it out. I'll go to a place where single people are hitting on each other, hoping to hook up and fornicate. And I'll sit down and say, my name's so-and-so, and so how'd you hear about this place? Oh, my friend told me. Oh, do a lot of your friends come here? Oh yeah, we all come here. Why do you come? The girls are hot. Oh, I'm just asking questions, trying to figure it out. It doesn't mean I endorse or embrace anything that's going on. I'm just trying to figure it out. And for Christians to understand their culture, they've got to go into those places. Now, this is the same thing that Jesus did. He's having dinner with tax collectors. He's hanging out with, crooks like Zacchaeus and crooked gals like the woman at the well who'd been real sexually active. And they charged Jesus, he's a glutton, a drunkard, and a friend with sinners. They basically said Jesus doesn't hang out with the good church people. That's because he came to seek and save the lost. And the lost aren't coming to church. They're out there sinning. And so if we're going to follow in the example of Jesus, we have to hang out with people that are sinners and are sinning. And we need not sin with them, but we at least need to get to know them and see what they're doing. The result will be that eventually we're going to call them to repentance and to show them the truth of the gospel. But first, I want to figure out what in the world they're doing. I mean, I'll give you an example. I met a gal some years ago, early in the church. She was a porn star. She had a history of being a porn star. And I sat down with her and just asked her a question. I met her through a friend and sat down and talked to her with some other people present. I mean, I'm not dumb enough just to go out with a stripper and the porn star. And I just started asking her, so tell me what it's like. How did you get into this job? How does it pay? Do you like it? Why do you keep doing it? Just ask these kind of questions. I mean, the porn industry in America is a $10 billion a year industry, bigger than pro baseball, basketball, and football combined. Right? Everybody's into porn. Okay, I want to know from her, what's it like? Here's what she tells me. When I was a little girl, my uncle molested me, and then my father started raping me. And pretty soon, some of my cousins, male, started raping and molesting me as well. And she was just passed around the family. She developed early as a young girl as the sex object for all these perverted, drunken men in her family. And she said, I decided I was a dirty girl, and if I was just disgusting and dirty, I may as well get paid for it. So I started doing porno movies and getting paid for it. I said, well, how's that going? She said, I have to take drugs and get high before I do a porno movie because it's so disgusting that I can't do it unless I'm high. I said, so now you're doing drugs? She says, yeah, I kind of got a drug and alcohol problem. I said, well, how long do you plan on doing this? Being a drug, alcohol using, sexually abused, molested porn star. She said, I can't do it for long. She said, I'm suicidal. Okay, and all of a sudden, I'm realizing this gal really needs Jesus in a big way. The Old Testament concept of defilement totally makes sense. She'd been defiled as a little girl, made dirty, unclean, disgusting. And she viewed herself as defiled, unclean, disgusting. Well, we actually have a doctrine for that called expiation, that Christ died on the cross to cleanse us from the filth of our unrighteousness, the sin we've committed, the sin that's been committed against us. So I sit down and actually walk this gal through the doctrine of expiation. Porn star. Eventually she gives her life to the Lord. She changes. She totally is transformed. And I think today she's no longer in the church. She's moved. Last I heard, she's married, and I think she's a mom. And you ask the average pastor, so how many strippers do you know? Oh, that's disgusting. Well, yeah, but they need Jesus. And we don't know whether or not, they're in the industry they're in because they're just disgusting, vile women, or because they were repeatedly sexually abused and raped, and there's something seriously wrong with them and they need help. And until we talk to them, we don't know. I mean, it's one thing to get in the pulpit and just hammer against certain sins, which is viable. I do it. There also needs to be a ministry to help people get out of that. So I guess that's what I'm talking about. If I told the average person, yeah, I had dinner with a porn star last night, they would go, what? What kind of pastor has dinner with a porn star? Well, Jesus kind of did.